Hello and welcome to Oh My Health, There Is Hope. I'm your host, Jana Short, and today I'm here with Shawn Marshall. Shawn has coached thousands of people in leadership, emotional intelligence, fitness, and nutrition. Last year, he decided to reinvent himself, taking his in-person company online, sold everything he owned, and left the city he loved, which was San Diego. I don't know how you left San Diego, but
I didn't think I ever could.
yes, to travel the world with his girlfriend. Shawn has a big vision for a better world and is stepping powerfully into his latest project, Reinvent Yourself to Create It. I love this message that you have, and I'm honored to be one of the speakers in that. So tell us a little bit about your story, because that's the first thing we ask you, Shawn, is like share a little bit about you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks. Thanks for the awesome welcome. And I'm stoked to be here. When I met you, I felt like we were long lost, from family from another world. So I'm honored to be on your podcast with you and have you on the series. So yeah, I have a military background. I served in the Navy. I was a navigator from 99 to 03. And, one of the things that I realized as much as I'm grateful for that experience, the military is either strongly for you or it's strongly not for you, and I have an entrepreneurial free spirit, obviously from selling everything last year and bouncing from San Diego. So military was tough because I wanted to be free, and you're not that in the military. You're serving the greater good, you're a rank. So one of the great things that taught me was that I get to be in a career that I dictate my schedule, dictate how I serve, and my community. So it's a great experience for that reason. So when I got out, I partied for a while. I acted a fool, did a lot of dumb things for a few years. I started a business. I made a lot of money doing nothing good in the world, to be honest. And in 2007, so about 4 years after the military, I realized how much of an idiot I was being in the world. I took a personal development and leadership program. One of my friends introduced me to, and in the first 7 days of this program, I realized so much about myself, like how I was living. I was living inauthentic. I wasn't being a good person. I didn't have close relationships. I didn't have great, even, my family didn't know like what I was up to in the world, really. And I bought property and they thought I was, working a 9-to-5 job or something. And I wasn't, and so I wasn't being good to women either. I was an a-hole. I didn't have a spiritual practice. I wasn't healthy, like all of this. And I realized in 7 days in this workshop that everything I just said, and it brought me like to my knees, literally. I remember in front of this whole group of strangers, I got on this stage and shared my story, who I was, and I hadn't cried in years, and I broke down into like full blown baby crying, about how I was treating my girlfriend at the time, lying to my parents, and kind of living a double life, if you will. So we finished that program on a Sunday, and on Monday, I went and had breakfast with my parents. I was in their city at the time, Las Vegas, and told them everything I just said, in greater detail. And if you ever heard like when an alcoholic becomes an alcoholic, their brain actually chemically changes, and it's not the same brain anymore. And like that's what happened to me. I wasn't alcoholic, but I'm saying my whole system changed in one like that, and I couldn't do what I was doing anymore. I just couldn't. I was making a lot of money. I bought property, but it was time to do something different. So that was a big reinvention. I sold that business to my partner that day, and then I didn't have a plan. I just knew there was something next. So we took off to Peru and traveled around for 6 weeks and studied Spanish. And I asked myself every day, what do you want? Just over and over. And this answer kept coming to me. It said fitness. And I had no confidence in myself, no courage. And I just kept saying, nope, it's not that. And the next day, what do you want? Fitness. Nope, definitely. And then I just blocked it for a month. And then finally we were at Machu Picchu. It was the first time I really got like spiritually connected. And I asked again, and it just like a baseball bat, fitness, and I said, okay, that's what I'm going to do. I surrendered to it and came back to San Diego. I had dropped out of college prior to that. So I went back to college, got a degree in kinesiology, but I also took a personal training cert, and within 2 months of coming back, I had a job, and it was a wrap. I wasn't even in shape. You know, I was riding my bike to the YMCA to go train people. I was fat. I was out of shape, and I didn't even care. I was like, I'm going to get people in shape and get myself in shape. You know, let's go. And that's a wrap. You know, I did that from 2007. I started a business in 2010 called Flow Motion Fitness in San Diego. And, you know, it was great. And then toward maybe 2018, somewhere around there, I just started getting a calling again, just this little whisper that was saying, you know, something next for you. There's something else. And sort of ignored it again. I was afraid of it. I was like, but I'm the fitness guy. You know, how do I change? You know, all this imposter syndrome. And it wasn't until 2020 when COVID came, I took the fitness business online, and then my girlfriend and I did a summit together just out of wanting to put positivity in the world. And then we did another one later in the year. And within a few months, I realized, like, hey, you know, my business is online. I'm not location dependent anymore. And I had been saying for a long time that I wanted to travel. And my girlfriend said the same thing. And so I said to her one day, I was like, oh, let's just sell everything and go travel. We can do it. And 3 weeks later, we sold everything we owned. I still have property there. I have a renter, and then we left. So that's what we're doing right now. Now we're in Denver at the moment, and looking to go to South America from here.
Wow, that is amazing. You know, you hit the nail on the head when you said, I'm the fitness guy. And how can I be anything else? Because that's what I'm known as. And I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that true dreamers put themselves into that box, that they can only be this and that's what they're successful at. And we evolve. As I grew, I evolved in my life and my goals and my vision for myself. And so, yeah, I was the interior designer here in Los Angeles. And when I heard that intuitive voice and that pull, and there was nothing, like you said, there's a shift in your brain. You cannot go back to it. And once you start moving in that direction, you have to see yourself that if you just see yourself as you, as the brand, you're the person. And all of these are things leading you into those beautiful places, and listening to them and moving into them, which you did. But I don't know that I could have sold everything. And just take it off. But I was a mom really young, so it would have required me to move family. But I don't know even if I were single and no kids, if I could do that. So you're very brave.
Man, I'll tell you, it was a lot of tough decisions going through and getting rid of stuff. There was a lot of sentimental things I got rid of. I threw away some of my military, like, you know, we got to the point where we're stuffing everything into my car. My girlfriend sold her car, and you know, we're like, we're going to leave San Diego 7 a.m. tomorrow. So got rid of everything. 7 a.m. comes, and we're standing there in the garage with like 4 carloads of stuff. And so it's just like, I had to chunk my Navy uniforms. That one hurt. There was a lot of stuff we got rid of, but you know what? It's all good. It felt, you know, we just don't need all this stuff. And so that was like, it was just almost like a, you know, a layer of me coming off.
Well, I love that you have your summit titled Reinventing Yourself, because this is a year of reinvention for everybody. Like everyone's had to change. And even if it wasn't their career, it's definitely their lifestyle. And so tell me a little bit why you are into this whole reinvent yourself, because I know that this was a movement for you before it became, we were in the middle of a pandemic. Like it just happened to be a perfect time for it to come to light.
Yeah, no, totally. You know, one thing I didn't mention was when I started in the fitness career, I went back to that leadership school that got me to change career in the first time, and they had a program to become a coach. And so I went through that program. And so parallel to this fitness and nutrition path, I've been coaching people in the leadership realm in emotional intelligence. And I do that for a company. And over and over, I got to the point where I coach the coaches and the students and help the coaches develop themselves. I love it. It's work that I just love. And so for a long time, this joke I made up was that I run on the outside, it's a fitness company, but inside it's a personal development company. And it was funny for a while. And then I started realizing I'm actually limiting myself, because I'm wanting to sell leadership and personal development, and people are coming here for fitness and nutrition. And so last year, when I started noticing, when we went through this election cycle, as we got closer, all of the disconnect from people, all the anger, all the "you're wrong, no, you're wrong." And I, instead of like judging it, I started thinking, like, what can I do from a place of responsibility? It's my world. So maybe I created all this. So how can I create something different? What is it that I want to see in the world? And it was connection. I really wanted to see connection. I wanted people to listen to each other, instead of saying, "You're a Trump person, you suck," or "You're a Biden, you suck." It's like, maybe we can just listen to each other and be connected. So I coached another round at the school, the leadership school. It's a 4-month program, and that was my intention the whole time through the election cycle until 2 weeks ago. They graduated last week, and I created connection. And so in that process, I was thinking, like, what's next? I did some soul searching over the holidays, and what's next? What do I want to see next? And what came to me is that we need leadership in our world. We need people to step in and be leaders. I don't just mean the president. I mean, me, everyone listening, we're all leaders if we want to step into it, and we all impact and influence people. And so my vision right now for the world is that leaders step up and create connection, create authenticity. And so where I see that I can fit in and create it, I want to create that. I want to catch people. That's the idea of this series I'm doing, is catch people who are influencers, are leaders, but they haven't made that decision or clicked into what they're really here to do. Maybe they're in corporate right now and not aligned anymore, or maybe they've started a business like I did and they're not aligned with it anymore. And I just want them to have the confidence and the courage and to put a words into what their purpose is and click over. And I think that when they do that, the impact they're going to make is going to be greater. It's going to be authentic, and more people are going to follow them. And I think that's going to make a difference. So that's what I'm up to now.
So when we first talked, I think I told you that I don't do summits because it's a lot of work. It's a
Yeah.
lot of work. But your summit was like, it's my language. You're talking my language. It's so important for me to get incredible influencers who it's more about just them building their business. It's about them creating a movement and this beautiful ripple effect out into the world. And you kind of saw that vision. That's kind of what you're doing as well. And so I couldn't say no. I was so excited and honored to be a part of that. Let's talk a little bit about that, because I was thinking I wouldn't be able to air this, but I think it's so important. I'm going to move it up because I think it's really important that people attend this, because the list of people that you have coming to this summit are like, well, I've interviewed a couple of them, by the way, on this podcast. And so I know that they're really powerful. And I was super excited to interview them. So let's talk a little bit about what that looks like for people who are listening to this.
Yeah, absolutely. Like what the series looks like, or like what they take away from, what the audience will take away from it.
Yes, for sure. Both. What the
Both.
audience is going to take away from it, for sure, because I want you to understand that, first of all, it's a free summit. And when I could get free advice from people like this, I make the time. I find the time and I get in there and I learn from them, because your life pivoted and changed when you went to an event where you learn from someone more about yourself. So you're going to learn from several people more about yourself and how to move into that next level of wherever it is you're going.
Yeah, totally. And let me say this too. I've developed myself as a leadership coach in the like container, meaning the school that we do it at. And they find the people, we coach them through a process. And so this sort of breakthrough thing for me has been, I realized that I'm a very effective coach. I can coach anybody. But what I didn't have the confidence to do yet was step out of that container and do it in the world, in my own business, and attract people into my life that weren't in the container. And that was the story I was making up, is that, again, this imposter syndrome thing, I suck, like this freaking racket I would run. And so I got a lot of coaching from my coaches and my team, and got the confidence to step out of there and go do it in the world. And that's sort of how this series was born. And from there, from that belief, God, Jana, like you and I met, and then all of these incredible people like Dan Brule, who's Tony Robbins' breath coach, just some incredible people. It's like when you operate, it's whatever frequency we're operating at, we're attracting people in that same frequency. And this has been such a lesson with all these amazing people that have come together and like resonated with the message. So they all share their stories of reinvention. And I think sometimes me anyway, I'll look at somebody who's doing really well, and it feels like the gap between where I am and where they are is so far, it's unreachable. And the reality is, each person I talk to, they have an incredible story. A lot of them went through some pretty crazy things like drug addiction, or they lost all their money in one night, or they got suicidal and like turned things around and became these incredible humans, on all levels, spiritual, emotional, relationships, health, and then of course money. And so it's like the blessing of talking to them and hearing their stories is that you really see that they're real people, and we're all made up of the same potential. And all these interviews are 2021, they're this year, that's current. So it's like learning from these people who, like yourself, who are doing amazing things in the world, and they're doing it right now. It's like current, like who would you rather learn from? Like reading books is great. Keep reading books. I'm reading a lot of books, but it's like those books were written pre-pandemic, or, this is coaching from people that are thriving right now, in this ever-changing world that we're living in. So it's been a blessing to meet them and also learn. I've been opting into everyone's free gifts and buying their books, studying their products, like, all of it. So I'm a student as much as I am a coach and teacher.
Wow. You know what? I think that it's really important that you brought up the fact about their stories and how powerful they are. Because I know most of the people that are on this list of speakers you have are much sought after keynote speakers. They're on stage all the time. And people who are sitting in the audience learning from them, they see the success that you're standing in right at that moment. They don't see the struggle to the success. And many times that you're like, I don't think I can do this, or the pivots that you've made. And when you tell your story, all of a sudden, that audience that's listening to you, it becomes attainable for them. You're not different than me, right? Oh, wow, I fell too, and I can get back up. They did. And so it makes us so relatable. So the fact that you are getting their stories in this is so powerful to me. It's like a game changer.
It is a game changer. And like, you're right, you don't see the struggle. And what no one is seeing is that all of these influencers have had to reinvent themselves over the last year. And if you're seeing them back on a stage, a virtual stage now, most of them weren't on a virtual stage prior to that. Most of them were flying around the world on, spending half their year or 3/4 of their year in hotels and traveling. And that was their life. And so there had to be this like undoing of like an identity of, I'm in front of people, I coach people on a stage, or I work one-to-one with people, and now I'm on Zoom. That's a whole like acceptance process that everyone that you're listening to right now had to go through. And we just don't see that. But all these guys, even Tony and Brendan Burchard, they've all done some incredible reinventing. And I think in that reinvention process, there's probably one of the first things that happens to all of us is resistance. You resist it. You're like, shoot, I can't fly, or I have to cancel my event. Or it's like, no one just said, woohoo, like 3,000 tickets sold. Now I have to no one said that. Everyone was big. And so we had to everyone reinvented, let go of the resistance, reconnected to their vision and their mission. And then I think it's in that, when you reconnect to your vision and your mission, then you can stop and say, how do I get there now in this changing world? And I think a lot of people get hung up on the how to, we get stuck in that question, how do I do it now? But it's like, well, you're missing why you started this in the beginning. What's the impact that you want to make?
Exactly. So I know, since we're going to be airing this before the event starts, let's talk about some of the speakers that you have coming, so people will know, they'll get like a little sneak preview here of who they're going to hear from.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you. Well, I'm incredibly excited that you're on. You're amazing. I opted into some of your stuff and I've been learning from you, on the side, just hint there. So incredibly happy that you're there. Dan Brule, if you've never heard of Dan Brule is really kind of the godfather of the breathing world. He's been a breath worker for 50 years. He's the guy that teaches Tony Robbins the stuff that he does on stage. They're personal friends and he's Tony's coach. So he's an incredible guy. And he's turned me on to people in his world. His personal coach, Rocky Detweiler, he's a mindset coach. He's one of the guys and just an incredible human being. Akshay Nanavati is another just incredible human. He's a former Marine. He was at a point, him and Rocky were at a point where they almost killed themselves. They share their story on the series. And Akshay he's an extreme guy like David Goggins, where he's just pushing himself every day. He wrote a book called Fearvana. The Dalai Lama and Jack Canfield both endorsed the book. Laura Coe is another incredible human. You may not have heard of her, but Laura Coe is big time in the health industry. She created a company so big that was sold to the number one company in the largest company in the United States, a Fortune 500 company. She's making all this money and realized like this is soul crushing. And she walked away from it and got into a spiritual practice and tapped into what this Akashic Records and thing. And now she's a coach and doing just incredible work as well. God, there's so many good people. Anthony Profeta is another guy. He studied with the Dalai Lama. He's a breath worker as well. Christina Wise is another one who just in the last week has sort of changed my whole mindset around money. Christina Wise, she worked with Gary Keller, who created Keller Williams. And he wrote the book, The One Thing. I think a lot of people know that book. She was the number one real estate person in the United States for a long time. Like if you were in real estate when she was in, you knew her. At least you knew the name. She killed all of her relationships, killed her health, almost died, and then reinvented, went and fixed her relationships, got her health back, and now she's back in the money world. And she has this program called Wealthy Wealthy. It's wealthy, money, but also wealthy like WELL, so you can be healthy. And she teaches the whole holistic and teaches people how to create wealth, how to create assets in a whole just completely different way. So she's incredible. Those are some of the top ones that pop into my mind.
Well, there's a lot of them. And I believe they've all brought like some free little gift for everybody, which is phenomenal. I just tell people all the time, they say, I can't afford. You have to be investing in yourself and in your business. You want to have that next level business. And when someone like these people that you just named are coming and teaching you for that, I don't know if they're 40 minutes, an hour, and it's free education for you, grab it. You may not resonate with mine, but you might resonate with someone else's, or you'll hear something you weren't even expecting. And what if just one of those people, one of them, speak to you and what they say blows the doors off of your 2021 or where you're going next? What if? So I would not what if it, I would just go.
Yeah. I agree. It's one person. It's one person. Like, if you're listening to this airing right now, you have something great that you want to do. That's who you are. That's why you're spending time listening to us talk instead of watching YouTube or watching a movie or something. You have greatness inside of you. So why not listen to people who've created that? And, part of this whole thing started like meeting Dan Brule, meeting, another gentleman, Niraj Nak, he's from Soma Breath, meeting a few of them, Dan, Rocky, that all came from listening to one episode of Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan had James Nestor on his series one day on his podcast, and James Nestor wrote a book called Breathe. And Breathe Man, I thought I was good with breath work, and I listened to this guy talk about breathing, and he's a scientist and journalist, and he went and interviewed all this, looked at all the science and the stuff. The breathing world is out of control. So that opened me up. I went and got the book. I read the book, and then that led me down a path to Dan and Rocky and all these people. Like you said, one episode, one episode just opened a bunch of doors. So you're right.
So I definitely want to personally invite everyone who is listening to this show to grab the free link. We'll put it in the show notes so that you can grab it. So grab the free link, go in, register, and you don't have to do anything else. We're going to come to you.
Yeah, that's it. We'll drop them to you, and you let spirit and the universe work, and you'll hear the messages that you're ready to hear.
Perfect. So Shawn, where can people find you when they want to start getting in your community and learning more about you?
Probably right now, the best place to find me is through that link that you're going to post. I want to keep it simple for people. You'll end up on the series and in my list. One of the things that came to me like spiritually when I did that first reinvention at Machu Picchu was writing. I started writing, and I'm telling you, I was the least likely to succeed in high school. I was an idiot. I didn't do homework. I used to leave my books in the locker and go home. I cheated off other people. I mean, not saying I'm proud of that, but that's who I was at that point. And when I went to Machu Picchu, this flow of writing started coming through me, and I started writing in 2007, and I haven't stopped. So I share a lot of the stuff I'm learning and coaching people through the emails that I write. And then, from there, I'll drop other links like Facebook or things like that. But just to keep it simple, that link is probably the best place to start.
I love that you keep bringing up Machu Picchu, because I was able to go 2 years ago, and it is a very, very life transforming place. I literally went to my knees when I got to the top. Like, I could not breathe, and I had to get on. Well, you can't breathe because it's very high altitude.
It's so high.
But it was something else that literally knocked me to my knees and took my breath away. It is the most peaceful, gorgeous, spiritual place I have ever visited. And I've been to some pretty incredible places. It was beautiful, and it definitely is transforming.
It is, isn't it? I remember there was a rock up there where we just went and put our hands on this rock, and you could feel the energy coming off of this rock. And like that moment was a moment where I was like, wow, man, okay, surrender, something else that I wasn't aware of.
It's amazing. Well, Shawn, thank you so much for being here. I hope a lot of you grab his summit. Again, it's free, and you're getting incredible education from so many amazing experts and influencers. So we'll hopefully see you all there, and you don't have to do anything. Just register and he'll come to you.
That's it. Yep. I'll drop in and we'll chat from there. Thank you, Jana.
So
yeah, it's an honor. Love being on the series with you on your podcast. So thank you so much for that. And great to meet everybody watching.